Okay, let's start again. Hi, Archana.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Archana. Thank you for being here and teaching us beautiful Bhagavad Gita. We are today beautiful people going on to the chapter 4. I think we did the live program yesterday, which did not reach you due to some technical issues. And I will just I've recorded it and I'm going to be putting it on the YouTube and I will be sharing the link with you. Yesterday we spoke about Diwali and we spoke about various different sects into which according to our deeds, our society that is broken into. And it's beautiful journey that I'm having, and Archana is carrying me through this beautiful journey of karma today, and what really karma is, and what really family is all about. So over to Archana, our beautiful speaker of the day. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Anu, I don't think it's coming on the Facebook Live yet. Not there.
It's there on the Facebook. There are already 3 views. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
yeah.
Okay. Then I'll switch this off. Hello, everyone. Namaskar. Today we are going to be talking about families and renunciations. Yesterday we spoke about the beautiful four varnas which Sri Krishna told us, depending on the kind of works we do. Now, here we are learning about the place where we take birth. We are born to a particular set of parents. We are born in a particular kind of family. Then we find our life partners and we decide to shift the way, I feel it is something like a plant was rooted somewhere, it gets uprooted, and then it is rerouted at a new place where we find ourselves giving ourselves the soil and the place of comfort emotionally, physically, and every other way. Now, what I am trying to talk today to you about is karma. All right. Anything and everything that we are doing, from talking to you, from getting up in the morning, brushing our teeth, taking the glass of water, deciding to go to the gym or not to go to gym. That is again doing the action or not doing the action. That's the beginning of Gita where Arjun began to do or not to do. It is so beautiful. And when I listen to this and I remember Shakespeare talking about it, it is so amazing that I can relate to Gita probably everywhere. There, Arjun is standing on the grounds of Kurukshetra, deciding not to fight, not to do his karma, not to do his action. Because he is a Kshatriya, a fighter, a soldier, Shri Krishna is telling him that that is the right thing for him to do. Because he is a Kshatriya and because he has to fight the honor of his wife and the honor of the Pandavas. Similarly, we face this dilemma probably every day, to do or not to do. And a lot of us have the courage to go through the storm, fight it, and come out victorious. And a few of us have the shield of probably fear, cowardice, and we just decide to renunciate everything. What I'm trying to tell you is that wherever you are, at home, in your office, at your workplace, in your school, college, playground, sitting, working, eating, sleeping, everything is a karma. The material world, the non material world, everybody, a table placed in your drawing room is doing its karma. The chair is giving you the space to sit and be comfortable and relaxed, doing its karma. You are sitting on the chair, doing your karma. Everything, that activity Every work that you're doing, action that you're taking is a karma. I hope I can, reach out to you and explain to you, because karam or karma is one concept which is very difficult for people all over to understand. And because we were talking about the four varnas yesterday, Sri Krishna very beautifully has put across in Gita that even though I am the creator of the four varnas, I have created it. I'll just, pick up the lines exact what he's saying. And they are so beautifully said that even though I am the creator, I am above them all. He says that even though I am the person, I am the creator of everything, I am not the part of it. I am above it. The way I was talking to you before, that we all need to do our action the way a nurse does her action. What I'm trying to tell
Archana,
you.
I've heard this so often that we need to be like a nurse. In
Yeah,
real life, I
yeah.
don't see the nurse doing it like that.
Why is that?
Attached to something or the other. What I'm trying to get at is that it's so beautifully explained in Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, that attachment is a curse.
Yeah,
Attachment is what is going to take you away from your karma.
yeah.
Attachment is something that's going to be one basic evil that's going to create you from being in discomfort
Hmm.
and you
Okay.
not be in ease, and which is
Hmm.
be the biggest cause of disease.
Yeah, because attachment means you can be attached to anything, Anu. I can be attached to my laptop or my pencil or my copy. For depending on what age group you are, you'll have your attachments varying. All right. That is the whole crux of Gita, trying to tell us to become that nurse. I am not saying that we are that nurse, but the minute wherever you are, wherever we are sitting, doing this program, eating our food, cooking food for our family members, working, I go to the clinic, doing my work, whenever, whatever karam, or even, it's a small thing like looking after the aged or the elders in my family. If I am doing my karam without looking for the result, without waiting or expecting any kind of, result in that action, that is what Sri Krishna is teaching us. That is what it means.
So karma basically means to do what you need to do with
Yeah, you,
getting attached to the outcome and without getting attached to the end result of the whole story.
that is the whole essence of karam. Work we are doing, that's why I always give the example of a nurse. She's paid for her job, yes, she's doing her duty, she's paid for it, but still remember that there is a scope of her getting attached to each and every patient. Why not? Why can't she? What stops her? Nothing.
Attachment to the patient. We are talking here attachment to the outcome of
Not only the outcome, Anu, outcome attachment will come when you are attached to the action that you're doing for whoever it is.
okay.
If a mother is not attached to her baby, she will not feed the baby, she will not clean the mouth of her baby. She has to have that kind of basic attachment to her baby. But the same mother, when she says that today you are a child, you're a helpless child, I've given birth to you, she's full of love and affection. A mother's love is uncomparable, all right? There is no comparison to that. She is probably the embodiment of one of the most selfless deeds. A mother does mostly out of selflessness, that's what we are told. But remember, the same mother, when she's feeding her child and she has a thought in her mind that probably once I grow old and you become big and strong, and I'm not capable of looking after myself, you will be the one taking care of me. So that is where it goes wrong. She has sown the seed of
That
that.
attachment.
Yes, that is
Attachment
what.
doing now and what the resulting consequences of it will.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
expectation. It's not even
exactly.
just the result, but it's also what is my expectation. If I'm bringing up this child, then tomorrow that child will be my support. So
Yeah,
really reversing the order and saying that my child will become my parent.
in a way, yes. But Anu, look at it like that. Whenever we are doing a karma, like a mother feeding a child, do you know whatever we are get doing, the karma we are doing, we get an instant result of that karma. It might be satisfaction, it might be peace of mind, it might be anything. We get an instant result of whatever action or activity we are doing. What happens is we start expecting result on the result, like the mother looking after the child and raising the child. It is her pleasure to see, it is our pleasure to see our children growing in front of our eyes, being successful, doing good in life. We pray, we wish them that good luck, we create a suitable environment for them to be successful in life. And every time when we celebrate their birthdays and their occasions, we get the happiness, the satisfaction out of that action. But putting that expectation in that when they grow up and when I need, isn't that over and over above asking for more fruits on it? We got the fruit of happiness, satisfaction at that very instant. I gave birth to a child, I was happy and satisfied, I was more than happy. But when I start attaching my expectations to that, it's not only a child, it's even a television or a gadget, or it can be anything. That attachment, that expectation can come from anything. So what is happening, that your action is not without expecting the result. That is what Sri Krishna is telling us also, that whatever action you're doing, just do it like your duty. You're supposed to be doing it.
And so beautifully, Archana, our body actually embodies this continuously. Your heart is beating without any insight that oh you're going
Expectations, yeah.
your eye.
All our vital organs, yes. All our vital organs, especially Anu, yeah, all of them. They are doing their job. Our heart never tells us that from the point you conceive me, I start beating until the time you die. I am working relentlessly. Did you acknowledge me? Did you say anything to me? The heart is not expecting anything. The lungs, the brain. Today I was reading a very beautiful thing. We'll talk about that also, about these organs. And, that's exactly what is karm, akarm, and vikarm. And that is where Gita is teaching us to do our duties exactly where we are placed. We do not have to run away from there,
So
doing our actions.
when Louis L. Hay or Meta Health says, we aren't listening
Hmm.
to our body. When we
Hmm.
aren't listening to our heart, we aren't listening to our we aren't listening to our eyes, we aren't listening to our skin. Could
Hmm.
that job that part of the body is doing, it's asking you by the symptom, in the way of symptom, it's trying to talk to you and tell you how you have misused it and how you need to stop misusing it, because it cannot, if you continue misusing it the way you're using that part of the body, then the body will not be able to function because you have pushed it beyond its limit.
It's very likely. It's very likely, because look at it like that whenever we are, we know that whenever we fall sick, we have diseases. They are because of these disturbances created in these different levels. Now, when it comes to our actions, now just imagine for something like our stomach, if we talk, Our action is to eat food, and our tongue which tastes food. If we are eating all that is just tasty, just to satiate our tongue, we know the reaction would be our stomach going for a topsy-turvy time. All right. We might have constipation, diarrhea, vomiting, anything. It can be anything. The result of that action will be anything, but it is going to be there. But we can be mindful of our actions. We have to learn to be mindful. And that is what Gita is coming down to.
I think we have to learn to know when to stop, when is enough.
Yeah, when is enough, or what is right or wrong. If we have to know that also. The discretion of right or wrong.
Again, we are going into a very controversial thought pattern, because in my mind, there is nothing right or wrong. And if we cannot understand that, that's again going back to what's enough for you.
Yeah, no, but again, that's what I'm saying. Right and wrong would be very personal again.
Yes.
Something might be right for me, might be wrong for you, or not appropriate for you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Very simply, the Cinderella story, where she wears the glass slippers at the end.
Yeah.
Those only fitted her, didn't fit any other girl
Any other.
in that kingdom. So for her, those shoes were right for her, but weren't right for
Anybody else? Yes.
anyone
That's
else.
it.
Archana is talking about is what feels comfortable for you is right for you, what feels uncomfortable for you, or you are not at ease with, stop, watch, and say that is enough. If there are relationships which are not becoming, stop, that's enough. Because we are kiskaying all these things, we are kind of pulling them, stretching them out
Stretching them too much.
too much. We are losing, we are also stretching the organs beyond their limits. Thank you.
We are. We never give rest. We are never discreet on our, basic even eating habits. It's such a small thing. Now, again, coming back to action or karma. Action, any action without any kind of expectation of the fruit or result is a karma. All right. Wherever there is no expectation, that becomes a karma. There's another very beautiful word which we call vikarm. Now, when we are talking about karm, akarm, and vikarm, the main words that we use are action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. Okay, that is the translation of karm, akarm, and vikarm. Now, vikarm are actions which are not beneficial for the individual per se and the society or the country or the area or the universe that the individual is living in. That means, again coming down to Gita, that vikarm are the actions which are done on the level of the body, which are guided by kam, krodh, moha, lobh, ahankar. I will translate this for everybody. That any of the actions that we are doing, which are guided by kam is lust, krodh is anger, moh is attachment, lobh is greed, and ahankar is ego. Any of your actions which are guided by any one of them is a vikar, because it for certain is not beneficial for you, and it is not beneficial for your friends, your family, your society, your country, and in the end, the whole universe. So we have to understand this, that our actions have to be beyond these 5 gun or goals. We need to rise above them. That is the differentiation of karm, akarm, and vikarm. Okay? I mean, if I can clarify that a bit more. Anup, do you want to know something more about this?
So when could you repeat the each term and just make it simple?
Yeah, I can do that. Calm. Calm is lust that we spoke about. We've been speaking about these things which are affecting our sense organs or our sense of discretion, let's say. Calm is lust, which we discussed in the third chapter, where we remember talking about the fire not existing without the smoke, the mirror being covered by the layer of dust, and the child, which embryo, which is there in the womb. We discussed this in detail actually. There are the different gradations of lust depending on different levels existing in every human being. It is us who has to get over these lusts and do our actions without them impending us. Similarly, if there is growth or anger, or any of our action is guided by anger, any work, any decision, any thought process, any word coming out of your mouth, what we call is mansa, vacha, and karmana, thought, word, and action, which is guided by krodh or anger, can never be right. That is why they say that come down, make peace with yourself, and then say your words, then think it alive, and then speak and do your actions. Similarly, when we are talking about attachments or moh, I think that is another topic which we've really talked about in detail. Any action or work done in under the influence of moh is also not right because it is covering your sense of judgment. It will not let you take the right decision the way King Dhritarashtra, under the influence of moh of his son, attachment of his son Duryodhan, could not take the right stance in his palace where his own brother's daughter-in-law was insulted and almost degraded to very lower levels. So that more that attachment did not let him do the right decision, take the right decision, which eventually led to the war of Kurukshetra and destruction of 100 of his sons and so many righteous people losing their lives.
So basically, we are saying if you have greed, which is lust, if you
Uh,
have anger, which is growth,
hmm.
if you have uh, attachment,
Moh and lobe, which is greed.
which is greed, moho is
Hmm.
attachment, which you have
Attachment.
love,
Yeah.
love with attachment.
Hmm.
Any of these three vices, if you're carrying in you, there is a probability that you will be not at ease with yourself because there will be something or the other always nudging you or the other person. And this in turn is going to cause a lot of chaos in your system. Have I got it right, Archana?
Yeah, exactly. But there are five of them. They are Kama, Krodha, Moh, Loh, and Ahankar. That means lust, anger, attachment, greed, and ego. All five of them.
And
Any one of them also, any one of these vices also, if we say that we are very disciplined in our life, but God forbid, for some reason, we have, we don't have to have all of them. Having even one of them is good or bad enough to create a lot of issues in our life. The way I just gave you example of moho, where it is an exemplary because we're talking about Gita. I mentioned King Dhritarashtra. He is an embodiment of moho. You know, we do not understand, but just imagine the war created so many, you know, destructions in every form of society, economical, financial, character loss. There were so many things which went wrong. It was not just, two families fighting. It landed up really creating a lot of issues in our whole country, destroying the basic values. That is what was happening there. That mode destroyed it. Otherwise, that one stand if Dhritarashtra had taken there, telling his sons not to insult Draupadi, would not have led to this kind of issue, this kind of war happening. It wouldn't have happened. And ego, we all know. We are so guided by our ego. And greed, we discussed, remember, we talked about just that ad. Greed doesn't have to say anything. Even if you look at something that somebody is wearing which is more beautiful or pretty than you, there is a kind of jealousy, and that leads to that greed. Okay, I want that.
Yeah. It's more than jealousy, it's the need, and I want people to understand this. It's more like, I want that. It begins from there.
Yes, yes.
It's a very innocent thought. I want that. I want what my brother has with his mom, with my mom. I want what my sister has with my mom. She doesn't do that for me. I want that. I want that dress. I want that bungalow. I want this. And I call it Khwaisho Ka Mahal. This is,
And you know, the irony is, Anu, that ye Khwaisho ka Mahal, this castle of desire, this castle of greed, it never, 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 ever ends or finishes.
my mom
I,
very beautifully.
yeah,
Archana, she says, house, घर एक कुएं की तरह है.
hmm,
House is like a well.
yeah,
You can keep adding as much as you want, it disappears. And
yeah,
I would say, take it a little further and say, our greed is like the well with the bottomless pit, like really you keep
exactly,
being there and
yeah, yeah,
we never feel enough. And that's what Archana is talking about. A place of being enough does not exist. We haven't felt completed. Yes, a part of it is so that we can keep creating, we can keep creating, we can keep creating. But imagine if we were looking at only creation and never preserving it. What would the world be like it is now? We're only
yeah.
creating, we only want. In fact, there's so many songs created on this. Menu A bhi chaida, A bhi chaida, A bhi chaida, A bhi chaida. I
I
want,
want this. I want everything, all of it.
and yet when I have everything, I still sit
I-
in the,
I'm not happy. I'm not happy in the end
and I still feel,
because,
I,
yeah, because it is what we call in Hindi, be pende ka lota. It is a vessel which actually does not have the bottom. And imagine a vessel which does not have a bottom. It has endless capacity, and you can keep putting things in and you will not know where they go. Similarly, these emotions, they are all vessels without the bottom fixed in it. We have to learn to fix our bottoms. We have to learn to feel satiated. We have to learn to be happy. And the first step is to be in gratitude for what we have today. Tomorrow, instead of crying of losing things that we have today, if today we are thankful for what we have, we are not going to cry tomorrow. We're going to just be more in gratitude and gratitude.
I also want you guys to think that if we are always in greed, and just go into your houses today, just do this bit, just go inside your houses today and inside your hearts today and see, what are you hoarding? Are you hoarding coins? Are you hoarding money, bundles of money? Are you hoarding clothes? Are you hoarding stems? Are you hoarding furniture? What are you collecting?
And I was just remembering,
Art. What
we open our Almira and half the time the clothes are just falling on us.
are you collecting?
Exactly.
Understand
Exactly.
collecting, you will realize what you need is there already. Tons.
Much more.
And yet when it comes home, you, maybe it's about clothes, and I remember for the longest it was about clothes for me. I had to keep buying them, compulsive. In fact, all my when I used to travel, I had to have all my clothes with labels. Literally. I would remove the label and then wear the clothes and then sit down with it. It's so interesting, guys. What we really need to understand is that this kind of hoarding is coming from I want. When we say that, I want, I want, I want, I want, which
And that, yeah,
never gives satisfaction.
exactly. It never gets satiated. Never.
Again, if we look at anger, many people stay in that state forever.
Years and years together, Anu.
When
Yeah.
look at them, they are angry because the world has done something to them that is not okay. In fact, people are now scared to approach them because they are angry. In fact, at some point, Amitabh Bachchan and his movies that were coming, we called him the angry young man, and that became the trend. That
Yeah, I remember that.
you can get everything. Yeah, it's as if that anger had become his identity. In reality, we don't think he was an angry guy at all, but that's
No, he wasn't.
it. So all the men thought if they could be angry like Amitabh Bachchan and have his hairstyle, they had in life.
They could get away with everything.
Exactly. So check out you're angry,
Exactly.
angry, angry. And why this anger? Are you holding this anger to put your family aside? Are you so tired? Are you so scared? Are you so vulnerable that you think your family and everybody around you is putting you down? You really think they don't have any other job to do other than put you down,
Putting down.
small, make you not enough? Check your space.
Exactly.
Could it be that feeling like that inside and they are just the projections of you? Again, when we come to moha, we could get attached to infinite, invisible to visible.
Yeah, not only we do, we are attached to it.
Thank you so much. We are attached, and this
We
attached
are.
moha, and this is a beautiful moha moha ke dhage.
That's a beautiful song. I really like it.
Ye moho moho ke dhage. I don't know how to sing, otherwise I would have sung it for you guys. But what I'm trying to say here is these attachment, these threads of attachment are the ones that cause and so much of drama in us, so much of drama in us.
No, we are literally the puppets in those hands. When it comes to more, my child can make me dance this way, my father can make me do this, my husband can make me Twitter this way, and I can cry when somebody said this. We are just, like dancing on them, literally, because of our attachments, not because of them. They are not doing that to us. It is our attachment, our weakness, our problem that we are dancing to their tunes. It's not their problem.
Absolutely. You need to ask yourself this one question, which is such a burning question. You need to ask yourself, why have you given your authority and why have you made them your authority? Like the world is going to fall apart if they are not going to get what they want. And you're constantly then pleasing your attachment. You become like a little clown standing in front of them. Will you have this food to eat? Will you do this? Will you do this? Will you do this? Then you'll
Should, I know it's something like, should I dress up like this? Would you like me like this? I mean, come on, dress up for yourself. Look beautiful to yourself. Be happy.
when I lose weight, will you
Yeah.
or when I do this, will you love me more? It's as if
Oh God.
it's not enough. What was the fourth one, Archana, you spoke about? The ego, right?
Ego, ahankar.
Yeah. And I want to bring a real point over here. When you read about our ego is so beautiful. Ego is the energy ongoing. Is energy constantly on movement. But what about we decide who we will trust? We
Anu, no, there's a very beautiful thing. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you.
decide. Archana, for example, if someone comes and tells, I come and tell Archana, I love you, she may
Mm,
not believe me. Her daughter comes and says, I love you. She may believe her, may not believe
mm,
her. Her sweetheart from back in time comes and tells her, I love
mm.
you. She may
Oh,
believe me.
might, might.
Right. Might.
Yeah,
We decide who we will believe. It's,
exactly. Ego.
it's
Exactly.
to do with what you are telling me. My ego will decide whether I can trust you or not trust you. So trust is not external, guys. It's internal. Your ego is stopping you from trusting people. Your ego is stopping you from loving people. Your ego has decided that you're not going to be connected with them. That's your story.
I'll give a very short story with all these five. That is the lust, anger, attachment, greed, and ego. They are they are five best friends. Do you know that? And once all these friends, they decided to come to XYZ's house. All right. And XYZ was so happy that after such a long time, his five best friends had come to his house. All right. But when that friend started staying, when you have guests, you make food according to the guest, you make beds according to them, you serve them tea in the best of the crockery, and you make them as comfortable as possible. So now these friends, five of them, they decided to stay at his place. And he thought they are there for a few days, and after a few days, they'll just decide and walk off. Okay. What happened was they refused to go. Why? Because that friend had given them all so many comforts. Okay. So the person went and spoke to a learned one. He said, now what do I do? I have lust, anger, attachment, greed, and ego, all of them in my house. What do I do? So the learned one said, okay, fine. From tomorrow onwards, stop serving them tea whenever they want. So day one, the tea was stopped. So when the tea was stopped, Greed said, I need tea every 2 hours or 3 hours. I can't live in this house. Greed just walked away. Said, no, I'm not happy. I'm not getting my tea. It left. So he was happy. Okay, fine. One gone. He again went to the learned one. He said, okay, fine. From today onwards, say that the electricity is very costly and you are cutting down on the electricity. So the air con is not going to be on 24 hours. It's going to be on only at the time when you're going to sleep. And that's just to make your sleep comfortable. So that happened. And then what happened? Attachment and lust. They said, this is not done. Aircon not working 24 hours. It is so hot. We are near the equators. I can't live. They decided to walk away. The person was very happy. And then he went again and he said that, okay, fine. Food, you're not going to cook all that continental and the Thai and the beautiful Indian cuisines. You're going to just give him cornflakes and milk, all porridge, or just lentils and rice, basic food, nothing more than that. And when that was served, trust me, the anger got very angry and left. But the fifth of all of them, ego. Ego said, okay, I understand what you're doing, but fine, I'm leaving the house, but I'm standing right outside your door. Even I have my own ego. I will never come inside your house until you call me. So, Anu, that ego is always outside. It is we who just invite them in. Ego never comes uninvited. We are the ones which create that ego, the way you just mentioned when you were saying that I am going to love you or I'm going to say I love to whomever I want to say. So that's what remembered, got this story into my mind.
Everybody's telling me they love me, but
Yeah. I'm going to decide. So that ego, yes,
who is really authentic and from where? How do you know who's authentic?
God knows.
It's your ego that's talking like that.
Exactly. And that ego is always outside our house, not willing to come inside until we invite. And we are the ones who invite our ego, and ego never comes alone. It comes back with all those four friends of it.
So beautifully, Archana is mentioning that anger and ego are two things which are most difficult of all the curses.
They are. They are very different.
Uh, Archana, I want you to go very slow and mention the five because I don't want anyone missing out. The first one is,
Lust,
which is greed.
lust, no, calm. Lust is calm.
Okay, lust is calm.
Then moho, attachment.
Moho, attachment.
Then lobh is greed.
Lobh is greed.
Krodh is anger.
Krodh is anger.
And ahankar is ego.
Ahankar is ego. You have 5 fingers, right? So let's do this once more.
Lust, attachment, greed, anger, and ego.
All we got to know is that we cannot be holding them like this. We need to let them go.
All of them.
All of them. They are not serving us, but in actuality, they are serving you. If they didn't serve you, you wouldn't keep them.
You won't keep any guest in your house if they're not serving any purpose. They're very selfish, basically.
Yeah. So we have to ask ourselves, and that man has to ask himself, why was he, what does he have to stop doing, which is what he started and stopped. What did he have to stop doing to let all these go? So he stopped food, he stopped electricity, he stopped various things so that these people could not survive. Similarly, we have to ask ourselves, what do we have to stop doing so that life can be better? And then if we stop doing something, what do we have to start doing instead of that? So, Archana, instead of the first one, which was,
Lust.
what do we have to start doing?
We have to become selfless.
Very good. Second one,
Is attachment.
instead of attachment, what do we have to start doing?
We have to start expecting nothing out of people.
So, we have to be making everything nothing basically. Very good.
Exactly.
Okay, we don't have to create
Lobh.
out of anything. Lobh, which is greed.
Greed.
What has
Greed again. We have to learn to be in gratitude of whatever we have. The minute we say thank you, it is a very small thing. When you compare, you complain. And when you thank or you are full of gratitude, you will not complain. So the greed will never come to you.
and remember, guys, both the words start with G, R. Yet, where they go is absolutely different. One is a reed of greed, and the other is a gratitude, an attitude of gratitude.
Gratitude.
And what's the next one?
Anger.
Anger. What instead of anger?
Again, anger comes because we feel unsatisfied somewhere or something. So we have to learn to be happy and satisfied in every situation with everyone, especially regarding our emotions
Little.
and our feelings and our hurts.
Absolutely. We have to be happy with whatever. Basically, we have to be okay with whatever is happening in our life. Like I read outside the Shamshan Bhumi, जो हो रहा है वो भी अच्छा है, जो हो चुका है वो भी अच्छा है, जो होने वाला है वो भी अच्छा है. Whatever is happening is good. Whatever has happened is good. Whatever will happen is even great. It's the last one.
Ego, our ahankar. And if we do not have our ego, we can learn to be like a child who is, slapped or scolded by their mom. And the minute after that, she offers him the candy, and that big smile comes on the baby's face. The minute we let go of ego and learn to live like that, trust you me, people, you are the happiest in the world.
So opposite of ego would be innocence. Get it.
Absolute innocence. That child, that baby, be like a baby, be like that kid.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, beautiful people. Thank you for supporting us. I know the last 2 days our Facebook has gone a little up and down, some settings that go up and down, and that's what life is about. And life will always throw you a challenge. If you're talking about Gita, then today's program really challenged us to see whether we would get angry, whether we would be in our ego, or whether we would be in surrender, and whether we would be in our greed, lobe, and all kinds of stuff, or whether we will surrender to the universe and say, this is how it's going to be. And over to Archana for to conclude.
This is exactly what Gita has taught. And there's a very small thing that I'll quote that our satsang or our Guruji had taught. We were blessed by 3 factories because we are talking about this. The factories that I was blessed was with the ice factory, the sugar factory, and the wax factory. The ice factory, which was given for my head, my brain, to keep it cool under any and every situation, come what may. And the sugar factory was for my tongue, where I am learning to speak the worst of the things coated as much as in sugar, so that it is not very hurtful for the person in front. I have to say things, but I have to put it across in a very polite way. I'm learning through the sugar factory. And yes, of course, the third and the most important, the wax factory for my heart, where my Lord Krishna consciousness is filling me with compassion for each and every one in every situation. And if I can carry and feel rich with all these three factories, if I am the owner of these factories, what is going to trouble me and what is going to disturb me? I'm the happiest person on this earth. And today, I wish these factories for each and everyone who's listening to us, who's getting connected to Geeta, that you all are blessed with the ice, sugar, and the wax factory, and be the happiest people on the earth. Thank you.
Last factory, I didn't get that properly. Archana,
Wax,
W.
wax, WAX, because that's warm. Because your heart will become as soft and subtle and supple like the wax, and you will be full of love and compassion and affection for people.
Wonderful. So I also want to put a disclaimer here. We respect all the religions and we respect all the granthas which are out there. Right now, I'm trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. You never know. I might be sitting here tomorrow and trying to understand Quran. And day after, I might
You
want to,
never know.
I might want.
Uh, I will tell you something tomorrow, which I'll relate to a sentence coming out from the Quran, and you'll be really liking it. There are a lot of things that I have used which have come from the Guru Granth Sahib also. It's just that I'm not quoting that this I've picked up from here and this I'm picking up from there. But trust me, everything like we talk about Sant Kabir Das or any of these saints, they do not follow a particular religion. They are just sane. They are just learned people. And we are quoting them. We talked about Shakespeare. What religion? What are we talking about? It has nothing to do with that. Just the way of life. That is all.
You call it lifestyle change? We are trying to understand what can the different lifestyles be. And right now, today we spoke about a lifestyle vices. These 5 vices can completely be there in your house forever, ever, and ever, or they can be standing outside your house and can leave you forever. The actions have to be taken by you, and the decisions have to be taken by you. So, namaste. Thank you again, everybody, and we will.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.